If you thought 2014 was a stellar year for technology, then just wait to hear what 2015 has in store for us when it comes to technology. And Sharma can tell us. No surprise that wearable technology features on that.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be the year of wearable tech in 2014, and we saw lots of announcements, but they were kind of still in the domain of the geek. So lots of products like the Pebble smartwatch, the Samsung Gear, Android Wear devices. But I think next year we'll really see wearable tech go mainstream. And this has a lot to do with Apple releasing its Apple Watch. I mean, bear in mind, Apple wasn't first to a lot of these tech innovations, like the iPod, for example. There were MP3 players before that. There were smartphones before the iPhone. But I think when Apple gets into the smartwatch business, it'll really blow it up, make it mainstream, inspire other manufacturers to make their devices cooler and a bit more fashionable. So I think wearable tech will start knowing people wearing smartwatches next year more and more.
So in terms of what's on the market at the moment, what do you see changing? Is it about physical, or is it about the actual things that they do?
Well, I think the form factor will change. So at the moment they're quite bulky and they're actually quite manly as well. And I think what companies are taking notice of now is fashion. So working with fashion brands to make watches sleeker and cooler to wear. Because bear in mind, smartwatches, there's something you wear every day, so it needs to look quite kind of exquisite. I think Apple is going to bring that design to the game, and it will up the kind of level of competition from other competitors too.
In terms of technology though, everyone has multiple forms of it, don't they? They'll have phones, they'll have tablets, laptops and smart tellies, these sorts of things. What is wearable technology going to give us that we don't already have?
Well, there's a risk we'll be just too connected, if anything. We're never too far from notifications, and a lot of smartwatches just do that. They just send you your text messages or your emails or your calls to your wrist. So instead of reaching into your pocket for your smartphone, you can just glance down at your wrist for the latest information. That's good and bad, I think. It's sometimes good to have a break from all these incoming texts and alerts. This kind of keeps it on your wrist at all times. So, I think we're moving more towards that, but is that a good thing? I don't know.
In terms of paying for things, we've seen some gadgets that have allowed us to pay without cash. Are you expecting that to kind of develop next year?
Well, it's interesting because this is a story that kind of quietly built up over 2014. So contactless payments went from a kind of neat thing to an almost essential thing. If you look at London buses, for example, you can no longer pay with cash. So you've either got your Oyster card or your contactless debit or credit card. I think what will happen in 2015 is we'll see new ways to pay without using our cards at all, so using smartphones, for example. I think we'll see, with the increase of fingerprint technology, so you can securely keep your card details on your phone, I think people will be paying for stuff just by tapping their smartphone at checkout and on transport as well.
I mean, there does come an issue about safety there, though, doesn't it? The amount of, mobile phones that get nicked or you lose them, there's an element of that people have access to your bank accounts instantly.
Absolutely, but I suppose with fingerprint technology, people can quite easily steal a password if you keep it written down, or if it's easy to guess. It's harder to steal your thumb. However, it's not completely foolproof. People can replicate your fingerprint. For example, if you leave it on a glass table or whatever, people can take a print of that. You can change your password. You can never change your fingerprint. So there are some concerns that if you do get compromised, you'll get compromised for life.
Okay. Sounds scary. And moving from the scary to the virtual reality, which I too find a little bit eerie.
Yeah, so virtual reality has gone from a kind of 90s fantasy to something, virtually real, something that we'll see more of in 2015. And a lot of it's due to this company called Oculus, who've got their Oculus Rift headset, which has been in testing for the last 5 years. Apparently it's coming to consumers in 2015, so you'll be able to buy one. So this is definitely one to watch, especially because Facebook acquired the company earlier in 2014. So I think we'll see lots more of it. I just wonder what Facebook's going to do with it. We'll be hanging out with our friends virtually with our virtual reality headsets.
Aside from Facebook, I mean, what are these goggles meant to provide people?
Well, they're great for gaming already. A lot of the testing has been around gaming, so you can fully immerse yourself in virtual worlds and battle monsters and zombies or whatever. I think it'll also have an impact on film as well. The way we watch film might change. So 3D has been taking off for the last few years, but it's not fully immersive. You're very aware, you've got the glasses on, obviously, but it's kind of like planes of depth. Whereas virtual reality, you can literally move your head around the picture and be right inside the film. I think that's really exciting.
I imagine that's going to be an expensive gadget, not something that's going to become mainstream overnight.
Yeah, and I think we're talking quite a lot about smartphone addiction. I think maybe next year we'll be talking about virtual reality addiction. Will people get trapped in these worlds and spend half their time in these virtual reality worlds? I don't know.
And robots kind of are moving along this theme of futuristic. You never imagined that it would make the mainstream, but you're predicting that 2015 is going to see a lot of robot action.
Well, I'm not not predicting that 2015 is going to be the year of the robot uprising, thank God. But I do think we'll see robots creeping into our homes more and more. Probably not as like the humanoids that we see in films, not like the Terminator, more like the digital assistants we're already seeing, like Siri and Cortana. There's a new device from Amazon called Echo, which is a kind of personal assistant that sits in your kitchen or in your living room. I think we'll see that more and more, and the real benefit is for people with mobility issues, so like the elderly. That robots will be able to help with kind of household tasks. So I think that's quite a nice thing. But I think maybe next year we'll be a bit concerned where this technology is taking us. But for now, it's quite exciting.
So for Siri and Cortana, we're talking about voice recognition, memo setting. Just tell us a little bit about what it actually serves as a purpose at the moment.
Well, I mean, it can help you keep on top of your day. So like booking appointments, kind of managing your email and your calendar and stuff. So it's already acting as like a virtual assistant. I think where robots are going is to help us with more physical tasks as well. So rather than just taking care of like online virtual activities, you'll be able to, I don't know, bring you a cup of tea in the morning or kind of fetch the paper or those sort of things. I think we'll see more. That's exciting, isn't it?
That is, it's a sort of butler, exactly. Essentially, you're getting a butler. OK, I like the sound of that.
And we all want a butler, don't we?
This one, I can't believe to be true that this has made your list, but hoverboards.
It's coming. Well, 2015 was the year of the future in Back to the Future. So that's where they went. And the question on everyone's lips, great Scott, is where are the hoverboards? So that's what everyone was really excited about in Back to the Future. Will we see it? We might just. There was a Kickstarter campaign in 2014 called the Hendo Hoverboard, famously tested by the skateboarder Tony Hawk. And I think we'll see this go into production in October in 2015. Now, I don't think we'll see hoverboards zipping around London streets. You need a lot of kind of supporting technology. You need like a completely kind of copper floor in order for it to hover. But its application could be more useful in like commuter trains, for example, and actually in buildings. Hang on,
sorry, commuter trains? What do you mean, commuter trains?
So rather than using train tracks, if the vehicles could just hover, it would kind of lower the impact and the shakiness of trains, and it could be really frictionless, energy-efficient way of travel.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is using this kind of technology in building structure. So foundations of buildings like literally float, so that if there's like an earthquake, for example, it's the building won't topple; it will just kind of move along with the vibrations.
Okay, so we're expecting the theory to be tested in late 2015, but we're not expecting skylines to be hovering next year.
No, but I'd love to see hoverboards in the meantime. It could mean that Back to the Future 2 becomes Back to the Future True.
And we can't really talk about 2015 without talking about drones, because they were the hot thing towards the end of 2014.
Yeah.
Can you envisage that continuing?
Yeah, well, it was the hot thing in a few hands. So a few people have been using these drones, which are kind of remote control flying cameras, and we've seen some great footage. In fact, some footage in East London, where you can't often get up very high in East London, so you don't get a great view of the city. These drones have allowed footage to be sent back that looks incredible, and I think we'll see these in consumers' hands in 2015. They're dropping in price. You can get one from as cheap as £40. They go up to like £1,000 for the more technologically advanced versions, but I think that we may be getting them in our stockings 2015.
But in terms of the amount of people who could possibly get their hands on them, and I imagine they're going to become very popular, I can see a time at which there's going to be safety issues, because we had the Heathrow near miss with a drone versus a plane.
Yeah.
It's sort of, where can they go? The air could be thick with them.
I know, there's an impact on all walks of life, really. It could impact wildlife. Also, there's issues about privacy as well. If you can be filming and taking pictures remotely, from here I could be controlling one with a remote control. Do you want that? Do you want to be able to take pictures of people you don't know you're taking pictures of them? But there are also other benefits, like, Amazon is thinking about using drones for deliveries of packages, which is a neat way you can order something in the morning, it could arrive at your doorstep in the afternoon thanks to these drones. So I think that it still needs to be worked out, the technology and how it will be used, but I think it'll be an exciting year in 2015.
Thank you very much, Sam.